So you see, just like in the key of G, we have a 1, 4, 5. But in this case, because we're in the key of A, we have A, D, and E. Okay? Songs are going to use that 1, 4, 5 idea all the time, whether it's pop music, whether it's rock music, whether it's country music, whether it's blues. They're going to use that 1, 4, 5 over and over and over. And what we're learning right now is how to play that 1, 4, 5 in virtually any key. It doesn't matter if we're in the key of G. It doesn't matter if we're in the key of A. Okay? So again, if I'm in the key of A, I have my A, which is my 1, my D, which is my 4, and my E, which is my 5. Now I could play real reminiscent chord progressions like this, for instance. See, so now you're incorporating all of these ideas that we've talked about. You're using scratching. You're incorporating your bouncing of your chords. You're incorporating your knowledge of your 1, 4, 5. All these real simple tools that you can just stream together to create music, to create songs. It's awesome. And like we just talked about, let's say I had to play this song, but the key of A was too high for my singer, for instance. Then we could transfer the key, we could change the key from the key of A to the key of G. And in doing so, it's going to lower that pitch. But we already know the 1, 4, 5 of the key of G, so we could play the same chord progression. My G would be my 1, my C would be my 4, my D would be my 5. So I could play the same scratching pattern and get the same effect by using those 3 chords in that key, which again is still just a 1, 4, 5. So again, very effective, very easy to use. Okay, you just need to make sure that you're practicing all of your fundamental tools. You're working on bouncing, you're working on scratching, you're memorizing the shapes, all of those sorts of things to put into one effective unit, which is our songs. So in essence, we're going to use those 3 finger-picking shapes to create all of these exercises. Okay, we're going to use the one going toward the floor. We're going to use the one going toward the ceiling. And the in and out pattern that we just did. And the goal for us is to make sure that the rhythm is even. Okay, it's also to make sure that we've decided on what fingers that we want. We're using those same patterns because, again, we have 2 choices. So you want to decide which one is the best one for us. Okay, and the last thing is, again, the dynamic. When you play these, you're trying to make sure that the volume of each one of your fingers as it picks the string is the same as the other ones. So you're not getting one that's a lot louder than the other ones, unless that's your intention. You want to keep them all nice and even. And of course, if you use our pinky rule, if you can grab onto the guitar and stabilize your hand a little bit, that helps for a lot of people. Right? So we're using one of those 3 patterns, and then remember too, we're also learning about embellishing this chord, adding notes to make it more interesting. Remember, we use the pinky right here, so I'm going to do that with the in and out pattern. Then I take it off. That way I'm creating a melody using these finger picking patterns. Okay, it doesn't matter which one I choose. I can use either one of those or any of those 3 as I play. See, and as I add those embellishments, it begins to sound like a melody with this one chord. So again, very easy tool, awesome to use. And D always works great because then you have your bottom 4 strings that you're using your fingers for. 4 notes lines up really easy. Nice thing to practice. So with this new system of bar chording, you literally can move anywhere on the fretboard, and you can play any major, any minor, any seventh chord, anywhere. Okay? So now there's no longer limitations on the chords that you do and don't know. You've got all your open chords that you're using, which enable you to play a lot of different chords. But with this bar chord system now, you could play anything anywhere. So if somebody asked for F sharp minor, you would now know that you could simply go to the second fret, which is F sharp, and create an E minor shape. And you're done. Okay? Or if you wanted B major, which we didn't have in the open position, now we could move up to the 7th fret, which is B. We could make the E major shape, and we have B major. Okay? And again, using all of the same tools that we keep streaming together from one to the next. We've learned the notes on our 6th string. We're using the dots as a reference to find where it is that we're supposed to be going. Okay? Once we find what we want, we bar over it and make the E shape. So if I wanted A, again, A is at the 5th fret, I'm going to make the E shape. Whenever I'm on the 6th string, I'm using that E shape to move up and down the fretboard. Okay? And with that then, if I come across chords that I'm not sure about, I could combine both open chords and bar chords together, or simply play them as bar chords. So the progression that we're working on right now, of course, being the A, the E, the F sharp minor, and the D, I have elected to use A, E, and D as open chords, but because F sharp minor doesn't exist down there, I'm using that as a bar chord. Okay? So again, using my scratching tools, using my dynamic tools. See, it doesn't take long before everything starts becoming music. Okay, you're using those dynamics, you're using those accents. I'm using embellishments, just like we got done talking about, all of these different things into one piece. Okay? If I wanted to, I could take some of those other chords and shift those into bar chords as well. I could use A up here instead of right here. Okay, sometimes I do those things just because I don't want to get bored. Sometimes I do them because I like the voicings of them. You know, if I'm playing with another person and that person is playing A down here, I might play A somewhere else on the fretboard just because it thickens up the sound. So we're both not doing exactly the same thing. So that's why it's really important to get used to being able to visualize and memorize those notes and the E chord movements. Okay? Very easy, very straightforward. It just takes some practice. That's the most important thing.